Sometimes Forex trading can be a wild and woolly place to be. But Forex trading doesn't have to be the Badlands for you, partner. Instead, hunker down and bend your ear. You'll be burning the breeze in no time here at the Truth About FX podcast.
Welcome, it's Walter, and today we have a trader who trades after my own heart. He has a very similar life to myself. Reima Huovinen is a stay-at-home trader. He has a style of trading that is quite unique, as you're going to find out today. He is also going to talk about the people who will affect your trading, and these people are very critical to your success, and you probably haven't really thought in depth about the effect that they may have on you. He's also going to talk about how he built his confidence up and why he trades in such an unusual way. All of this in this session. So welcome, Reima.
Hi, Walter. Thanks for having me here.
So, Reima, one of the interesting things, I suppose, about you is you and I sort of have a similar life, I think, in that we both have a lot of time. We both have kids to look after, although yours are a little bit older. And the way we structure our day is basically based on the fact that we trade, higher time frames. So can you talk a little bit about your trading day and what it's like and how you got to that point, I suppose? So I suppose a little bit of background would be great on how you found trading and then why you've settled on this style of trading for yourself.
Yeah, so I agree that we share same kind of lifestyle. So for me, it's more like my wife. She got an expatriate. We were living for a long time in Italy, and then we moved to the Netherlands. And I was there because I have an IT background, so I was thinking to have my own business there, ID business there. But all of a sudden, then just after 2 years and a half, she got a new assignment in Poland, so where we are living at the moment. So of course, we moved whole family here in Poland, and I started to kind of realize that, okay, hey, if this is going to happen, in the future, every 2-3 years, we are moving in a new location, it will be very difficult to set up, the business and, start to do things in IT. So I kind of thought that, okay, I need a plan B, so something else that I can do from anywhere, so it's not really tied to any location, but the kind of profession or job that I can do from any country. And I had already previously some interest in financial markets, so I have done some trading with stocks and mainly with stocks, and it all started from there. So trying different things and failing and having some success, but I think it's very similar what other people are doing. But then some point I landed on your forum and started to talk with other people there and other traders, and I started to talk with you, and it's kind of all started from there.
Yeah, and so you decided that you were going to trade currencies, and did you at some point change your focus from indicator-based technical analysis to more of a naked approach, or how did that work?
Yeah, I think that, in my case, I have to say that I don't remember that so well, because, when you are kind of, trying to figure out your strategy or your system or whatever, you try so many different things and you don't even remember what you have tried. But I think that, one really big kind of inspiration for me was your book, Walter. So after I read that, I kind of thought that, okay, this is kind of simple, and it was really there when I realized that, because before I read that book, I think that I didn't, and I'm sure that I didn't trade Forex. So I didn't even consider, because it was kind of thing that, I knew that, but I never really studied what does it mean? What does it mean trade Forex? For me, trading was more like, stocks, mainly stocks or options or some other things. So I think that it was after I read the book, it was kind of clear out that okay, there is other things also in the training world, and also the techniques you described in the book, they kind of I liked them a lot, because I think that the most important thing was the simplicity. They were very simple, and you could understand them well. So from there, then I started to shift my focus more on Forex.
Yeah, and you've also done a whole lot of backtesting, haven't you? I mean, that's something I know you as a trader have made that a priority for yourself, to spend the time backtesting and building up your confidence in your system and really fine-tuning your system.
Yeah, but it's a funny story, because it's and I think that I'm not here alone, because of course then when I got involved and I joined the forum and started to exchange ideas, and I started to follow your webinars and all those then what you have there in the forum. You had a lot of strategies, a lot of systems, those naked strategies. And I think that it's like I bought Forex Tester, but I was really struggling at the beginning. And, I started, but then I saw that, okay, this doesn't work. So I just, I left it. And on some point I was really thinking that, okay, kangaroo tails and big shadows, how you describe them in the book. And, in the forum, you have plenty of people who have tested them. So why should I test them? Because they have been it has been proven that they work. So I didn't understand at the beginning of the importance of the back testing. It's not only that you test exits and entries. There are so much more involved. So that came then with trial and error. After trial and error, I realized that okay, I just can't have a system if I don't have these statistics from backtesting, which I have done myself, not by somebody else. So I did a lot of backtesting. Yeah,
and that's such a common thing, isn't it? We think that the reason why you do backtesting is because you have to decide whether or not the system works, and really, the reason why you do manual backtesting if you're a discretionary trader is because you want to make sure it works for you, and you want to make sure that you have the confidence to withstand those tough times when you go through drawdown.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, so it's really because because there is always this discretionary part in your trading, and this is something that you just can't take from other trader. So because it's a trader itself, this is kind of thing. I think that somebody else had said that, but I fully agree with that trader who once said that okay, trader itself is a very important part of the system. So it's not really that you have, even if it looks on the paper very you have mechanical entries and exits and whatever, but still there is some discretion, and this part you can only develop when you do backtesting yourself. You just can't rely on the data from somebody else's backtesting.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? It's always going to be the case that the trader who runs the stats through the computer and it spits out the profit factor and the average winner and the average loser and the win rate and all that trader is in a totally different spot than the trader who's gone through and taken 1,200 trades in Forex Tester and has seen these trades unfold in different types of markets and understands how the system works in different types of situations and knows what kind of market it makes money in and what kind of market it won't, and that's just a different experience altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, what I realized when I started to do backtesting, and let's say that I was managed to get over those initial difficulties, and I started to have let's say the significant number of trades, and I started to have some statistics. It was really that when I was doing backtesting, I realized that there are feelings involved, and you have to think, you have your thought process you have to go through when you take the trade. So it's really, as it says, it's a trading simulator. So maybe this is not really same for everybody, but for my case, I was really, having kind of, feelings, similar feelings, in Forex Tester that I'm having when I'm trading live. So when I had, 3 losers in a row, it felt bad, even if I didn't lose any money, but still it was kind of, I knew that, okay, this will make my statistics look worse. So it's like, still there are these things involved also that you just can't have if you don't do them. So if you don't if you don't do the back testing by yourself, you just can't experience these things.
Yeah. And so for you, it's interesting because you have a unique approach. As you say, your backtesting sort of mirrors your live trading for you, and you feel the pain and the losers and that sort of thing, which is great because sometimes we treat it like a video game, and losing trades and winning trades don't really matter as much when we're backtesting. But for you, your approach is a little bit unique because your trades take a long time to unfold, don't they?
Yeah. And but this is then one thing that you just can't simulate in let's say in Forex Tester. So it's like, a weekly trade, it can take like 3 months or 4 months or even longer, to then, to let's say to fold out. And but in Forex Tester, it's just a matter of couple of spacebar clicks and you're done. So of course there are some things that you can simulate, and this is really something that I think that which is then when you go from Forex Tester and you start to do the demo trading, or you start to do some small mini account trading, then this aspect is something that you can live only with, let's say, with real trading, which cannot be simulated in Forex Tester, which is of course also one thing that you just have to take in account. So it's just it doesn't happen so fast in the real life how it happens in Forex Tester.
Yeah, so how do you deal with that? How do you develop your patience as a trader, knowing that with these daily and weekly chart trades, it's going to take time before really you can do anything. Even say taking a loss before it hits your stop loss, that'll often take days. So how do you decide what to do with yourself when you have all this time, and it must be tempting to go in there and take more trades or overmanage the trades or things like that. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, let's say that it's something that you can always be better at. So it's like it's still work in progress also for me. But I think that my approach to trading, when it comes to these really long-term like weeklies and dailies also, is slightly different, because I see them, especially weeklies. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but I see them almost like a short-term investments. So it's like, okay, so I see a good setup, and I think that, okay, this setup has a potential to give me a nice return. So it's okay, I place my bet there, and then it's okay, because it's also when you do really investing, you always have like quite a long time period, so it's like years or whatever. But this is something similar, but kind of applied in a trading world, and of course the time frames are much shorter. But for somebody to keep open a trade for like 2 months, it may sound strange, but for me it's not. When I enter the trade, I think that, okay, either this will work out nicely, because I try to trail my exit, to maximize the profit, or okay, if it doesn't work, then I'm not that interested to have like a small profit. So it's more, for me, it's a little bit more like, kind of, I would not say all or nothing, but to have a nice profit, or then okay, if it comes back, after being up like 200 pips and stops me out, that's fine. It's just it didn't work out as I wished. So I don't feel so upset, kind of giving back so much, because my ultimate target was something else.
And the way that you've set up your system after extensive testing, is to take advantage of the big moves, right? Yeah. So it's trends. So it's I try to jump in, in a long trends in an early phase. It's sometimes
it's really, and of course here you have to use discretion, because sometimes when you have only one leg down and then you have a retracement and then it looks that it gives you another leg down, so it's not really a clear trend yet. But then you check the overall price context and try to understand that, okay, could this be the beginning of the new downtrend? Because of course, earlier you get in, the more profit you can get from that. But it's that's basically my trading style. So I try to benefit from those very long term moves, which can the market can go in one direction for like months or 6 months or even a year. Sometimes it happens. It hasn't happened for me yet, but eventually it will, I think.
Yeah, and you've seen the data in Forex Tester that you occasionally get those. I mean, when you use the trailing stop, you give back some profit in the end. You're never going to get the whole move, but the trade-off of obviously is that when there is a huge move, you will get a big chunk of that huge move. So you just have to catch a few of those, and that makes for a really nice year.
Yeah. So it's I think that's exactly so. What I think it's because my kind of the target is to get catch those big fishes. If you use the analogy to fishing, so it's like sometimes you just lose your bite, so it means that it's just take a small loss. But I'm not really keen to have those small fishes, so it's more like to those big ones I'm interested in. And this is really and it's really my approach. It's like to have a kind of steady, constant growth of my account. So it's I'm not there for quick wins. No.
Yeah, and so talk about this, because this is the one thing that people are going to say. People listening to this are probably thinking, that sounds great that it works for you, Reima, but I just couldn't. Even if I could sit through these trades and how long they take to unfold and holding my trades over the weekend and all those things that come with this, I would not get enough trades. I'm not going to get enough trades if I trade this way. So what do you say to people who say that?
I think that the number of trades is kind of, there is no, the exact answer how many trades you should have. I don't know if, more trades leads automatically to more money. I don't think so. For my trading style, I don't need a lot of trades, because I see if I make like 20-30% per year, so that means that I may take like 2 trades per month or something like that. It's like, then if I'm able to maintain this kind of performance for next 10 years, I can be happy with my, let's say, with my return. So it's like, I put it always like in a very long term, perspective. And in that perspective, it is really my trading style that, I'm not, keen to have many trades. I prefer to have, not so many of them, because I don't want to manage them. So it's like I don't have too many trades to manage. And it's, as I said, it's if I can get my kind of, the returns that I'm happy with, let's say not so many trades, I don't see any reason why should I take more of them.
Yeah, right. And you can have multiple markets that you're watching. You have many markets that you can follow. You don't have to simply stick to the major pairs or whatever. Do you also look at CFDs? Is that something that you also trade, or do you just trade the currency pairs?
Yeah. It's like I watch almost everything. So it's I use Oanda as a broker, and it's just Oanda UK, and they have just I don't know how many instruments they have, but it's like 100. So there are so many of them. So there are like T bills, treasury bills from US, and everything. You have indices, and I basically I watch a lot of markets. I watch a lot of markets because my idea is that if a pattern works on because it's a technical pattern, so there is no really reason why it should not work on any market. So this is kind of my way of thinking, my philosophy, why it's like one pattern when you have tested it and you know how to trade it can be applied to multiple instruments.
And you have your data on multiple markets, obviously, from your back testing as well.
Yeah, I have tested. I haven't, I don't have everything, but I have tested it in many markets. So it's like, Forex Tester, it is when they have this, standard or VIP subscription where you can have a lot of different instruments. I have gone through, many of them. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to show us at the event, at the conference, how you're able to watch all these markets and yet not spend that much time in front of the screen. Because I know you're pretty clever about the way you approach that. So that'd be interesting to hear how you do that. Yeah.
I actually this is something that I did just recently because and actually that also kind of keeps me away from over trading, kind of from not taking the trades where there is no trade, but kind of not taking those pseudo setups which sometimes can be tempting. Yeah.
Why do you think traders overtrade? I have my own theories, but I'm just curious because you've adopted an approach that's clearly designed to avoid overtrading. But why is it that it's so tempting for most traders or many traders to overtrade?
There are many reasons for that, but I would guess, this is only a guess, I would guess that one of the reasons can be that for some reason the psychology of the people is designed in a way that people think that more trades means more money, and if I'm not in the market, they kind of think that okay, if I'm not taking a clear signal, if I'm losing a signal, if I'm losing a trade, it's like losing money. So it's people, I think that they are afraid losing, missing opportunities. And this is then when they are trying not to miss an opportunity, they go to see their charts, and maybe they don't miss an opportunity, but then they will see another one which is not really, that good, but it's tempting, and then they take that one, and then it leads to taking the signals which are not that clear, and I think that this is kind of how it works. I don't know, maybe this is one of the reasons.
I think people feel like they need to be doing things, and they feel like the more trades they make, the more money they'll make, which is not, the data that I've seen doesn't support that. In most cases, traders lose money and pay more commissions if they take more trades, but that's just what I've seen, so it may just be me. So that's interesting.
So I think I fully agree. So it's but people should rely on their statistics. So it's, if their statistics say that they don't have to take so many trades to kind of achieve their objectives, they should stick on those. So, and not to kind of start to have weird ideas that okay, I have to be there, I have to trade. It doesn't work in that way. So I think that it doesn't lead to anything, to nothing good.
Yeah. When you're doing your back testing, what is your process? How do you go through your back testing? What are the numbers that you're paying attention to? Is it the win rate, the average win, or how do you validate a system when you go through your testing phase? How does that work for you?
Yeah, it's I think it's very similar what the other people are doing. So it's of course also here when you start to do things, and I think it's very important, especially when you do the back testing, because I think that by far too much people are concentrating only some specific kind of information they get from backtesting, is like win rate. I think that the win rate is highly overrated. So it's like, you can easily have a system less than 50% win rate, but still, to make a lot of money out of that system. So I think, for me, it's, I think it's nothing different from what the other people are doing. So when I have done my back testing, I just want to see that, I have a system that has the positive expectancy. And mainly, that one is important. It's because in my case, because I'm trying to catch those big trends, naturally that leads to that I have a lower win rate, but then I have a bigger risk reward ratio. So my average winner is far much bigger than the loser. So one thing what is sure that I don't pay so much attention anymore to win rate, because it's for my trading style it's not really the most important parameter in my system. So it's to have a confidence that my system has a positive expectancy, so I can expect that in the long run I can make money out of that. And of course to have some idea the possible losing streaks, how many losers you will have in a row, maximum drawdown, there are very good calculators online for that one also. But have that kind of numbers. I think that these are the numbers that then you can use to build your confidence in your system. You see that in the long run I can expect that I'm not going to blow out my account with that system, and I will do some money.
Yeah. So which mistakes do you think a lot of traders end up making when they're going through the backtesting process? You mentioned one about focusing in on the win rate, but what are some of the other things that you think that traders have to be wary of when they go through the backtesting process?
I can talk, what was for me, it was not really an error, but what I was struggling a lot, because I don't know how many times I decided that, I know that I have to do this, but I gave up too early. So I didn't give enough time to one kind of test session or whatever. It's like if I decided that I want to test this kind of pattern, so I was far too impatient to wait to have enough trades there in a way that it has kind of statistical value. So I was like after 30-40 trades, if I saw that in Forex Tester I don't have, the dollar amount there was not big enough, I just gave up, said that, I did my calculations. I kind of projected that value to the future. So if I do monthly this amount of money, then, my yearly returns will be these. And then I said, this is not good enough, so I have to find something else. So, my kind of advice to anybody who is doing backtesting is that really it's just write your rules and then go for it, and don't give up. It's like you have to have hundreds of trades before you start to understand if one system works or not. And for me that was really by far the biggest issue at the beginning, and when I overcame that, then it became much easier.
Yeah, and people make that mistake. They get really excited because maybe they just luck into a win streak, or the other thing is they might not risk the right amount, a constant percentage on each trade. So that will kind of mess up your stats too, because some of your winners might be bigger positions and some of your losers might be smaller positions, or vice versa. So it's tricky because you could be trading a trend following system or some system that has a trailing exit during a strong trend or not. So like, for example, with you, when you use this trailing exit, you are going to take advantage of those markets that really move. So if you just back tested during a period when the markets were very choppy and not really going very far, you might just give up and say, well, this is no good.
Yeah, that's very good point. That's excellent point, because it's just you have to go through different market conditions, of course, because that's how the real markets are. So and you can do that only if you kind of test enough data. So you go through like 10 years of data, and that gives you enough information about your system, but also gives you the benefit that during that this test you went through different market conditions, and that will happen also when you trade it live. So it gives you even more confidence that even I kind of maybe there were like choppy conditions that the market was not trending, I was able to survive with my system throughout that period.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting to me is that you stuck with your backtesting. It was something that you felt in the beginning, early on, you felt like, why should I do this? Everybody knows whether a system works or not. You can just look up the stats and see how it works for other people. Why do I have to do this? And then in the end, you took an approach that was quite disciplined. And I think, to me, in some ways, that made all the difference for you.
Yeah, so I think it's like Backtesting is so much more than only, to have your statistics. So it really keeps you that confidence. For me, I have to say that, you're part of, then, working on psychology, trading psychology, of course, but backtesting, I think it was really the game changer, in my case. So that was really kind of when I started to understand, okay, this is how I should do things. So because it seems also when you do the backtesting, you train yourself to recognize the patterns. You train yourself to recognize the different market conditions. So it's not really, I do running, I run marathons. So it's not very different, when I train for the marathon, but it's like, doing backtesting is you can see some similarities. You are kind of training for your live trading because you train yourself for to see those setups and recognize the different kind of market conditions.
But when do you get the trader's high? Like you get the runner's high. You know how you get the runner's high from running a marathon? They call it. So when do you get the trader's high?
Yeah, I'm still. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that. So it's like, let's hope that it will eventually it will come. So it's but still, I'm so trader's high would be nice to have, but But I have to say that there is a huge difference between now and before I had done all my backtesting in my confidence and in a way I trade and in a way I feel about the trades. You just can't. They are completely two different things. And I think it's really the keyword here is the confidence. You have you just can't have that confidence before you really you have all that data from your backtesting, not from somebody else.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about how your day goes right now. So what is it like when I know you're going to share at the conference, you'll share your system and all that and what you've come up with and how you trade the daily and weekly charts. But give us an overview of what it's like for you living in Europe. What is your schedule like in terms of trading these higher time frame charts?
Yeah, actually, it's my days are really kind of because I'm a home parent, so I don't have duties. It's like the only thing that in the morning I just drop kids to school, and I in the morning normally what I do is just before I open my computer and start to see maybe check something from the charts. I normally do meditation. So it's like this, and this is the other thing that it's kind of I have discovered during this journey. It's like psychological aspects and meditation. So I really I started that like almost a year ago, and now I try to do it at least once in a day, and that's normally in the morning. So I kind of meditate for 30 minutes to get nice calm let's say mindset, and I really in the morning I like to check there is something something interesting. So I do take a look on charts, not all of them, only some of them. But basically what I actually do, which is a little bit a little bit different maybe what other people's at least in the forum are doing. So I normally what I do, I check the charts for the new trades in the evening my time, which is actually it's just New York close, after the New York close. And sometimes it may be that if there are something interesting, so in daily charts especially, but of course also on Monday or on Tuesday for weekly charts, I may place my trades before I go to sleep. So it's like which is quite opposite what many people are doing, like they wait for us Asian session to close before placing the trades. But sometimes I do it kind of before I go to sleep. And it's kind of it's not set and forget because I have to trail my exits, but I'm not during the daytime I'm not managing these trades in any way. So I'm not checking charts in any way. So I'm doing some other activities, trading activities, doing some testing and demo trading on lower time frames. But when it comes to these trades, weekly and daily charts, they are just, once a day. And I check that. I check them only once in a day, and it's normally, it's like in the morning I check them how they have been, involving, and then if there are any new trades to place, I place them in the evening.
Right. So you spend a lot of time kind of setting things up and then very little time managing it.
Of course, you have to trail your exit, but you have a specific rules for that. So it's like, but there is no really reason why should I go to see those trades during the daytime. So, and it's like, I use it, I use it for other things. During the daytime, I do completely different things. So some of them, they are related to trading. As I said, I'm testing some other systems or other things. But, those trades, once they've been triggered, I just, left them, and I check them, that, once in a day to see that if I have to manage to exit, but that's it. I don't pay attention to news. I just can't avoid them because, it's like, if you follow a little bit news in the world, you just can't avoid them. But I try to not to kind of, think about them in a way that, okay, how this news now impacts my trade. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. So it's like, I try to kind of, keep away from the news.
Yeah. Do you think that if you use the information from the news in your trading, what kind of effect would it have on your trading?
I don't know. I don't have an idea, but I think honestly that, if I don't kind of take these news events which move the market in account in my backtesting, I just can't take them, in account also in my live trading. So I just have to kind of, maybe I guess what I'm trying to say here, that I try to be as pure as technical trader can be. So it's like a pure technical trading without, without considering the news. Because I think that, especially when you are trading, you are trend trading, and you see a trend. So it's like you see a down and uptrend. The fundamentals or news, they are already in that. Let's say that in that price action, you can see that there must be a fundamental reason or something that drives market down or up. So it's not really that even if you just trade technicals, that you ignore completely the fundamentals, because you can read them from the charts. This is how I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I know that you'll talk a bit about your strategy at the event, but just thinking about your strategy, which is very simple, do you ever entertain thoughts that it may at some time just break down and stop working? And another way of asking this question is, would there ever be something that would happen to your results or something, I don't know, outside of your trading results, some reason why you would say, you know what, this just isn't working anymore, it's not going to work anymore? Or do you think that that's highly unlikely?
To be honest, never thought about that kind of scenario. So what I can say here is that, okay, if we are talking about kind of individual black swan events, okay, everything can happen, but this is only a just kind of limited event that can kind of blow up your account or whatever. But in a long run, because if I have tested my system, I think that the data starts from 2003 or something, like over 15 years of data, and I see that, okay, it works. So it has worked out 15 years. So it's like, this is the information that I have available. So I don't have any proof. So there is nothing that proves in contrary that, it should not work for next 15 years or next 20 years. But I'm not saying that it's not possible. It is possible that, the Forex market, for some reason, maybe there will be regulations or whatever, it changes completely. So that, for some reason, the market, they don't trend anymore. So there are no trends. And I depend on trends. My whole strategy depends on trends in the market. So if something like that happens, of course, it's like, my system won't work anymore. But, if I think about that with the information I have available now, and that information comes from my backtesting, I don't see any reasons to be worried about to worry about that kind of scenario.
Yeah. Even though every 5 or 6 years there's always an article in the in the financial newspapers and magazines about how the trend following funds are no longer doing very well, and this is the end of trend following, and trend following doesn't work anymore, and there's too many funds that are using algorithmic trend following, so it's not going to work, and blah blah blah. And yet every time those come out, it's usually a pretty good sign that the trend following funds are about to have a really good year.
Because I have actually, it's like, because I'm interested in, it's kind of, I think that, now I can define myself as a trend trader. And of course I'm interested in, I'm, listening some podcasts, which are specific for trend trading, and reading a lot of books about trend trading. And I have seen those, those kind of news also. And, there are a lot of people who are saying that, it's trend trading is the most difficult, way to make money from, you have to be good, and you have, so it's like, okay, I agree. They can have their opinions, but it's just, it seems to work quite well, for me. So I just stick to that until something else proven. So if all of a sudden I can see that I have, my losing streaks starts to be too long, or something else happens, then I may reconsider my strategy. But today I don't see any reasons why it should not work for another 15 years, and I think that after that I can retire. So it's like that's enough for me.
yeah, exactly. That's so funny. I mean, we really just want the markets to go up or markets to go down. As long as they don't just sit there, right, and flatline, then everything's good. Yeah. So that's exactly the case. So it's like, and of course, trading, those higher time frames, weeklies and dailies, you really need some nice trends. So it's like, if you go down to 4-hour and 1-hour charts, of course you see trends every day. So it's like, you can have a trend that goes on like 2 days. But if you then kind of you go up in dailies and weeklies, they are not trends there. So you really need some really fundamental moves, to get those big winners with my strategy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So been really interesting seeing your approach and sharing your approach with the listeners. I guess I'd like to know if there's anything else that you feel like you want to make sure that you get this across to people before the event. Is there something else that you feel like is important to touch on before we close?
Yeah, I think, and again, here I can speak only, from my own experience. The one big thing was, a part of, backtesting and all that thing that we talked about. But, the other really, really important aspect in trading, which is, I think, it's really undervaluated, is the trading psychology. So it's like, and there are so many things in that you have to take in account, that it is, in my case, it was something that, it changed a lot. It changed a lot to have that in place. And that was really, after I joined the forum and I started to have some discussions also with you. And it's like, to give you an example, it's like, people around you, it's in my case, it's, my wife and my kids, the family, if they are not really supporting your idea, your beliefs that, okay, this will be your new job and this is how you will make money, I honestly believe that it has a big impact to your success. So if they are not with you, it can be difficult to make things work. So this is maybe something that, it's like, people who are around you, their opinion may have quite a big impact to your results, even if you don't realize that.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's not always the case that you have the supportive nuclear family that you have that's helping you out with this, because even thinking about just everyday think about the people who go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, sorry, you've got this horrible disease and you've got 6 months to live. I mean, that's just, that should be illegal for the doctor to tell you that. Even if the doctor believes that should be illegal, because it's the same thing. I mean, with your trading, if your wife or your kids or your parents or whoever, your brothers, thinks that you're crazy for trying to make this work and saying that trading will never work and trading is a losing game and this and that, well, what's that going to do for you? You can say to yourself, well, I'm going to prove him wrong, or I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to show you guys. But in the end, it's so difficult when you have so many people dragging you down and not believing you. And it's the same thing as your doctor's telling you've got 6 months to live. You know that. I know the doctors don't think of it that way, but what they're doing by setting that expectation for the patient is it's essentially a death sentence. And it's the same thing with your trading. If you're trading in a situation where people around you are not helping you and they don't believe in it, then either you need to find new people around you, or just give up, or just trading's not for you, because it really is important. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's like, and what you said is exactly what I have experienced, and of course, I can then talk about this later in that conference. But really, what this situation, that when you don't, people around you are not supporting your idea of trading, and you kind of okay, you will make it, that leads automatically to the situation where you kind of you put yourself, I have to mode, so I have to prove them that I can do it. So I have to, I will let them know at the end of the year that I have done so much money, and I have to. And when you kind of put yourself in that I have to mode, you create a lot of pressure. So it's just, you start to think that, okay, now by end of next month or by end of this year, this must work. And in my case, that was a big problem. That was really a big problem, because I started to set these kind of, goals to myself that, okay, because she said now that, she said something that, okay, now I will prove her that she's wrong, and I will have this amount of money by the end of the summer. And you can imagine what happens then. You have this kind of goal that, okay, I have to do this kind of this amount of money now to prove that, okay, she's wrong. And it's not good for your psychology, because then it leads that, okay, you have to trade, you have to, it's like, you over trade, and there are a lot of problems that come with that kind of situation. So it's maybe something that people doesn't understand. People really, they don't understand that how important it is, that people around you, they are really supporting. And that's, of course, the forums like yours is just the great place, because the people are so nice there. But of course, home is somebody is saying you every day that, okay, this is not a job. It's just, I don't know anybody who has ever done money from trading. Yeah, it can and it will have impact your success, your eventual success.
Yeah, there's no way around it. It's a great point. It's a really good point. That's an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I have lived through that situation, so I really know how it was. And now really it's I have to say that the situation is completely kind of under control, and really happy how it is now. But when I started, it was completely different thing. And at that time, when I was living in that situation, and I didn't understand how it can impact to my results, how it can impact to my trading. And now, kind of hindsight, seeing backwards, I realized that, okay, that was the problem.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, well, this has been really great stuff, Reima, and I appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you at the conference and seeing what you share with everyone. I really appreciate your time, and we will see you at the conference.
Okay, thanks, Walter. It was great to be here.
See you soon. Bye.
See you. Bye.